What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for real producers, by real producers, and with none other than Tampa Bay's Real Producers, as well as our partners of Tampa Bay Real Producers, which is what we're going to have today. Mr. Jason Nicholas with SCM Roofing as part of our partner series. What's going on, Jason?
How's everybody doing today?
We're doing well, man. It's good to have you here. Excited to have you in the studio. First time we've had Jason in studio, I think, to at least dive into the podcast, so that's cool. If you're familiar with Jason and his team, they've been a partner now for over a year in Tampa Bay Real Producers. They've sponsored some of the events that we've put on historically. They've also, of course, had their ad campaigns running in our magazine now for a while, and him and his team, Shay, they actually work with us in multiple markets with Real Producers, down in Fort Myers, down in Naples, so we'll hit on some of that as well. But we're going to focus a little bit on the business model here with SCM Roofing and learn a little bit more about the ins and outs and how we can serve agents at a higher level. But why don't we start just a little bit with the background, right? A little bit with the story. So we'll start there. Did you grow up in this market, Jason? If not, how'd you find yourself here in Tampa? And when did you get interested in roofing?
I did grow up in the market. So I was born and raised in Tampa Women's Hospital. Grew up in Brandon, Florida.
Okay.
Eventually went to school at Tallahassee. Go Seminoles. Sorry, they just got kicked out of the College World Series. And then I came back. My dad was a GC. He was doing a ton of new home construction at the time. I got into that, was doing trim carpentry, and then '08 happened and lost everything. '09, didn't really know what was next, and just started hopping around, doing different things, got into roof cleaning for a while. Then I got into roofing in 2010. Figured that was a market that was recession-proof if you operate it correctly and you take care of your customers, and everybody's either always going to need a roof or need roof repairs. So that was the start of it.
Were you working for somebody else, or were you starting SCM right away in 2010?
That was a different company we had then. Didn't work out as planned. So from there, I got out of it. I went into Fannie Mae remodels.
Okay.
So this was in the height of the foreclosures. We were doing a lot of Fannie Mae flips with a friend through a friend. Ended up meeting up with Scott. Was introduced through a partner at the time. Long story short, we started SCM Construction. I had some other contacts in some larger markets, some apartment stuff. Ran into that. Then it was like, hey, it's a good time to get back into roofing. The construction stuff was going well. That's when we started SCM Roofing.
What year was that?
That was, what are we, 24, 8 years ago. So early 2016.
Okay.
We started SCM Roofing.
Yep.
And I took over SCM Roofing. Scott still runs the GC side of things, SCM Construction. And here we are today.
So you still have kind of the dual companies operating?
We do.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense. And they do complement each other, I would say, pretty well.
They do. They're very nice. We do a lot of work on the apartment side for re-roofs. On our residential side, if we run across anything, we're always able to bring them in to help out as well.
Yep,
so
that makes sense.
Works out well.
Do you still work with investors and private investors on the construction side as well?
The construction side is more large GC stuff, like
Commercial
apartment remodels. Yeah. We limit the individual, the realtors, because the individual stuff or the flips, guys that are doing it on a large scale can just get their pricing down.
Yeah.
So much more. So, you have a couple of different
They have their own
models.
sub teams and
yeah, you can go high volume and do a lot, or you can do large, say like South Tampa type home renovations.
Yeah.
And we've tried them both. Just wasn't, with how involved we were in apartments, it was kind of, you really need to pick something. We were just getting spread too thin. So,
do you build new apartment complexes?
We have in the past. new builds, kind of that same thing. If you're not doing a ton of them, you don't have the team set up, it's very hard to stay competitive when you're building them.
Makes sense. So your focus, your sweet spot is more of the remodels.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got a great team now. We've got a couple hundred employees on the construction side that do work from Jacksonville all the way down to Miami.
Gotcha.
With that. So we stay very busy there.
And so on the roofing side, which is obviously what we focus on with Real Producers and diving into that element, what has been your experience over the years now in terms of like generating your deal flow, I guess you would say, through these agent relationships that we have throughout the market? Did it happen intentionally from the get-go? Was it just organic and it kind of started with a couple of agents you happen to know? Was that a focus that you had for any specific reason? What's been your experience like in working with agents on the roofing side?
It was definitely, at the beginning, I didn't know, we were doing a lot of Home Advisor and Angie's List and anything we could to generate leads.
Yeah.
Run across realtors, whether they were friends or doing deals in neighborhoods, and slowly started to see that those were, if you kept them happy, they were good sources of repeat business that you didn't have to spend money on.
Sure.
And quickly realized that real estate agents are definitely can be the backbone of a company, and that became my focus. And so I really went heavy with making sure realtors were taken care of, offering free home inspections, pay at closings, doing everything I can to keep them happy. And in turn, they've been there and helped us through a lot of slow times in the market.
Yeah, it makes sense in terms of having the investment in the relationships, I guess, right? With these agents, when you really have good relationships set up, that is a buffer against some of the fluctuation, I would imagine, right? That could just happen naturally in any business. But obviously in the roofing game, that's even more so.
It is. And, everything's so cutthroat. Every day you're getting new roofing companies, you probably see 5 companies drive by right now, and you're like, I've never even heard of that. Or somebody will be like, oh, I got a quote from so-and-so. And, I've been in construction in this market for, 25 years. So when I don't know somebody, it's like, I've seen everybody, or you think you have.
Right.
And all these new guys have to get their foot in the door somehow.
Sure.
So they're coming in, they're giving super low prices. Well, when you form that relationship with a realtor and they're telling their client, hey, this is my guy, he's going to take care of you, he's been around, if there are any issues, he's going to take care of it, that goes a long way with a client.
Yep.
So, we might be a little higher, but at least the client's like, you know what, I know I can trust this guy, I know they're going to be there.
Yeah, there's an established track record.
And my realtor uses them, has used them, I'm not going to have anything to worry about. And then for us, they're selling for us. We don't have to go out. We don't have to sell. We don't have to, differentiate ourselves from 10 other guys because the realtor's doing that for us.
Yeah. With your level of experience in this industry, I'm sure you've seen a lot of good things and good services that some roofing companies have provided. Maybe you've even learned some of the stuff and you've implemented into your own business model. You've also probably seen the opposite, right? Some of the sketchy stuff that's out there that you've seen people get burned by, right? Or, done even illegally potentially in some situations. So I'm curious from your perspective, like what are some things that homeowners or even agents should be on alert for or be looking for when they're considering working with a roofing company? Obviously, you mentioned the lowest bids isn't always the best option, right? Maybe it is in some cases, but sometimes it's not. And I'm assuming there'd be some important things to look for from your perspective.
Yeah. So, I've gotten bids for companies that are very reliable companies that people have said, hey, can you beat this? And I'll look at it and I'll just tell them, no, I can't beat it. I would definitely go with it. They're a trustworthy company. Most likely their salesperson made a mistake.
Yeah.
And we've done it before. I've made mistakes sending out bids. And at the end of the day, we own up to that. I'm going to put the roof on for the price
that you want.
You. And the other guys that I've told clients the same thing, they'll also honor it as well. So, that's just because it's a low price doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad company.
Sure.
Sometimes honest mistakes happen, but research, Better Business Bureau is a huge thing, checking out, making sure they don't have any complaints or how many complaints they've had against their license or how many complaints they've resolved. DBPR, Department of Business Professional Regulations, is another good site for that. Google is a great site. Obviously, Google, you can kind of, you can have people pay people for reviews, and they have services now that you'll see a company in business and they've got been in business for 1 year and they've got 500 5-star reviews.
Right.
And you're like,
where'd those come from?
Right. So, be cognizant of what you're looking at. Go on Sunbiz. You can check the year that, how long somebody's been in business. So that's one aspect. And then I would also look at their status with their shingle supplier. So the two big supplier or manufacturers in the area would be GAF, who we're affiliated with, and we're a GAF Master Elite, and then Owens Corning.
I've always heard that as to be kind of like the, a status that really should matter, right? The whole GAF Master Elite status, that means something in the industry.
Correct. And it's the same with Owens Corning, Platinum Preferred. So if there are differences, and, without getting into shingle talk, that's a different side. Somebody that is a Master Elite or a Platinum Preferred, they have a track record. They've got a track record with their supplier. They've sold so many shingles. They've applied so many warranties. They've done so many roofs, and they're in good standing with that manufacturer as well. So they're given the top rating for them. That comes with a couple things. So now you've got somebody that's got experience, and you've got the manufacturer's backed warranties. So you're going to get the highest warranties. Both of those are going to offer a 25-year workmanship and then a 50-year material warranty, which is great for any client.
Yeah.
So
it's a solid warranty for a roof. I mean, the most common ones are like 10 years, aren't they?
Most common are like a 5 to 10 in-house warranty.
Yeah.
And what I tell people, if I get hit by a truck or hit the lottery and you never hear from me again, you're covered.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing with the GAF products. And, GAF, Owens Corning, they're no different than anybody else. They have bad runs of shingles. They have issues. But those companies aren't going anywhere, and they're going to back their product.
Are those full warranties for 25 years?
They are.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
solid.
For the first 25 years, you're covered labor and material.
Nice.
So if anything goes wrong, and what I tell people, if I install the shingle upside down and backwards, GAF will come out and replace your roof for you.
Right.
I won't be a Master Elite very long, but you'll have a new roof.
You're protected.
So they do stand behind their product.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that definitely is a peace of mind, I would have to think, for a lot of different people.
As
an agent, I think that's something you'd want to be aware of, and at least look for in terms of who you want to partner with on these roofing projects that you have.
It is.
In your experience, Jason, when you're working with an agent, when does that usually happen in the process? Is it generally people who are thinking of listing their home and they know they need to upgrade the roof before they sell it to try to max out value? Or is it the buyers that are buying a home and that home maybe they're buying at a reduced price because they know the house needs a new roof? Where do you usually fall in with the agent relationships that you've experienced?
All the above at this point.
Okay.
Now we're in so good with so many different offices. Every day it seems like I get a call from another realtor saying, "Hey, I was referred to you by so-and-so in our office." And it's going to be from both sides. I'm selling this house and I know it's, 15, 16, 20 years old. I know we're going to need a roof. My client's buying this house and we just had the inspection done and we know it's going to need a new roof. So we'll go out on both sides. So if you're selling it, we'll go out, we'll inspect it. Yep, you need a new roof. Or maybe you don't. I try to be as honest
Sure.
as possible with people. Unfortunately, without going into a long-winded conversation about insurance. They're really cracking down. And
yeah, I've heard some challenges, and maybe you can even touch on it a little bit, because I do think there's some confusion for some people in that world right now. I had a buddy of mine coming down from Connecticut even recently who was looking at buying a property down here, and one of the agents he was working with was telling him that he couldn't even put an offer, I think, on one of the homes because insurance wouldn't approve the roof condition. I don't know if that's what your opinion is on that, but maybe if you can touch on it a little bit.
That's 1,000% correct. So what's happened, and the issue is the storm chasers. So you get a lot of these companies that come in from out of state. The big one that everybody knows started it was Jasper. Now they're roofclaim.com. They go, they knock on a door, and they were pretty much getting you a roof, no questions asked. I mean, if you had one damaged shingle on the roof, if you had blisters, they would call it in as hail. And in the beginning, it wasn't a big deal. It was, hit or miss. Now people saw what they were doing. Then other companies started emulating it. Now people are suing their insurance company because you're like, hey, I'm getting a free roof out of it. What's the big deal? My neighbor got one. I should get one. Now, it's not like you're just putting in the claim and they're paying out, let's just say $10,000. They're denying it. Now it goes to an attorney. Now you've got the attorney's fees.
Yeah.
Then say they deny it again. Now you get an engineer involved. Now it goes to court. Now you take it through the system, and now you finally get it approved. Well, now you've got the attorney's fees. You've got engineer fees. You've got the attorney's fees from the insurance company. All that, now a $10,000 roof became a $25,000 roof. So take that times however many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of roofs they've done, the insurance companies were getting hit over the head.
Yeah.
So they've changed what their requirements are drastically. So the biggest thing...
When you say they, is that kind of across the board?
Insurance companies have
pretty much across the board,
and like, we're not dealing with this anymore. So a lot of times they're going to want to see if you're buying a house. I'm hearing 10 years. Insurance companies,
10 years of roof.
If the roof is 10 years old, they're wanting it replaced, which is just crazy.
That is wild.
Now you can shop around. You'll find somebody that'll insure it. But there are some companies that if that roof's over 10 years old, they won't even touch it. 15 years old, a lot of them are going to want you to replace it. But instead of maybe replacing it, they're just going to jack your rates up. So you'll start seeing that big hit, the 15-year mark. At the 20-year mark, they're pretty much saying it's got to be replaced or we're not covering it. So we can thank storm chasers for that. So, we try to stay away from that industry. Now, if there's
when that homeowner's replacing it, insurance isn't paying for that.
Again, it depends on
what they're qualifying, what they're filing, I guess.
Yeah. So now if
they're claiming damage or not.
Yeah. If we go out to a house and there's damage there, we'll help you with the insurance process. But if it's just an old roof or just a, one shingle and it's clearly wear and tear, we're not going to
make that claim.
I get it.
It's
not worth it for us. But there are guys that do. And now people are seeing their insurance bills. You're getting the call. We get calls every day. My insurance was $1,000, $1,500 3-4 years ago. Now it's $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. So
especially in Florida, I feel like insurance right now is such an interesting market in Florida. It's insane. Very volatile. I feel like
it is. So that. So now, kind of going back to your original question, the 15-year mark is kind of where if you're selling a house or buying a house at 15 years, you're going to put a new roof on. So that, with our relationships with realtors, we're getting calls daily that, hey, we're selling this house. If it's a 15-year-old roof and it's still going to look good, but they just know they're going to need it replaced for the sale, we'll give them a price. And then we'll typically, depending on the homeowner or what they're able to get bound, we'll do a payment at closing. So we'll put the roof on right before it closes, or we'll put it on right after they close. And then depending on the situation, we offer different packages that are going to fit the seller as well as because obviously every seller wants the most economical roof
For sure. Yeah.
Possible.
Yep.
I mean, they're not getting any value out of it. So we'll say, hey, this is what you're going to see the typical roofing company come in at. If you want that roof, here it is. And then if you want these other options, then the buyer can typically pay the difference.
Have you seen the price points on roofs just and even your costs skyrocket over the last few years, like some other construction costs have followed suit?
They have. We're actually getting ready August 1st. We're having our first price increase, I think, in probably 6 or 8 months. But March of 2020, when was COVID?
That was COVID, yeah. That's when it hit. That's when everything shut down.
Yeah. So that first month, we saw a huge jump because everything slowed down, prices went up. Then we were getting about every 3 months for theirs. We had, I think, 12 or 13 increases in a 2.5 year period.
That's crazy.
It was nuts. So,
and nothing's gone down since. It's just that one increase is always going to build on the other, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And now we're going back many moons. We had a big increase for years. Then they actually had quite a bit drop off where prices did come down a bit. I don't see that happening again anytime soon.
It'd be nice if it did.
Being that like I said, we got our next increase August 1st. It'll be a small one, but between that and just overall insurance for like workers' comp, general liability, going up, roof prices have definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Inflation hits everything, right?
Yep.
So, especially in the construction space and all the different supplies and everything, just the cost of wood is skyrocketing. I saw something somewhere online. It's gone up like 20x in the last 5 years or some crazy number like that. What do your timelines look like, Jason, for roofs nowadays? If you're working with someone, how quickly are you able to get a project done?
It depends on the type of roof they want. Shingle is pretty quick. Shingle, I can probably get you in within a week or two if you're like, you're calling panicked, like my insurance is going to cancel. I need it. I can switch some things around. Shingles are pretty standard, are readily available.
Yep. Are there a lot of different types of shingles that people select from, or is it pretty standard?
So, every GAF in itself, they've got Timberline HDZs, they've got Timberline Ultra HDZ, they've got Royal Sovereign, which very few people use, is a 3-tab shingle, and most people are luckily going away from them. Then they've got Cool Series, they've got designer lines. So inside their designer line, they've got 7 or 8 different selections there. And then obviously inside that, you've got numerous colors across the board.
So when you sit down with a homeowner, you're kind of laying out some of these options, and then or do they generally know what they want and just select one right off the bat?
Yeah, most people, it's Timberline HDZ, for us, because everybody, I try to tell people, don't price yourself out of your neighborhood. You can upgrade, you can do fancy stuff, you can do tile, metal.
That makes sense, yeah.
Synthetic roofs. There's so many different things you can do, but if your neighbor's got
just keeping up with the Joneses is the smart thing from a valuation standpoint.
Correct. You can go if you're going to be there long term, and there are products that would save you from having to replace it. And if you're doing solar, there's different things there, and that's again a whole nother conversation. But I say just go one for one.
Yeah. I know that I have an interest in the solar world because of my other business model, but do you guys also do that? Do you remove and replace solar systems when you do a roof?
We would refer them out to
another installer.
Like yeah.
I gotcha.
We don't mess with it. We try to stay away from it as much as possible.
Yeah. Other company would come in, do the removal. You guys would do the roof, and then that other company comes back to replace them.
Correct.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So it's for us, it's too much liability.
Yeah.
And you don't know.
It's a different install process for sure.
What the company before did, and again, that's a whole nother thing. We talk about the solar industry and how quickly companies go out of business, and just trying. I don't know how many.
We actually did a podcast on our. My business partner came in here from Connecticut, and we did a whole podcast on that, and on the different reasons why, and what I've seen anyway, as far as why companies kind of overpromise and then underdeliver, and then we even busted what I call the 7 myths revolving around solar. I thought it was an interesting conversation. We got some good feedback from that, but it's up on our solar page.
Yeah, it's insane the amount of people will go out to, and the solar company is already out of business.
Yeah, it is wild.
It's just like, and the worst is they're telling these people, and I'm sure you hear it, is that, oh, we'll put your solar on, and if you need to replace your roof, we'll come out and we'll take it off one time for free and put it back on.
Yeah.
And in all my years, I've only had one company that I know has actually lived up to that promise, because all the other ones are out of business.
Right. They probably know they're on their way out.
Yeah.
So the promise with that in the back pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously they're pricing that in.
Sure.
They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart.
Right.
They're pricing in. And so
I've never seen a legitimate solar company that doesn't have that as a price adder.
Right.
On their list, a removal cost. They're going to charge something.
Correct.
Just to even have the man, just to have the labor out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, there definitely are good solar companies out there. That's a whole nother thing. Be very mindful if you're doing it. That way, you know what you're getting into. The costs, the financing part of it. It kind of goes into, you're asking about what to look for a good roofer. It's the same thing, like just making sure your customer isn't getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Because there are a ton of financing options out there that people will shove somebody into, and the dealer fees that are associated,
they're crazy
with
right now,
they're
through the
gonna
roof.
Pump up their pricing. And
we've actually had a lot more success with using what's called TPO options, third-party options, as far as financing, mostly revolving around lease options. When you really look at the numbers, we found that a lot of homeowners actually are better off with the inflated dealer fee models that exist today because of the increases in interest rates as much as they have. And these banks are leery about, the solar companies going out of business, so they charge so many dealer fees up front to grab all these origination points, and it's baked into the deal. And so these lease options have been a lot more beneficial, we've been finding anyway, for the homeowner. And it, a lot of people have misconceptions revolving around that, and they think it puts a lien on the home, which it doesn't. And there's all kinds of different things that are important to know. And that's not really the point of this podcast, but the idea
but it kind of
it's all related.
Yeah,
it is all related. And anyway, that's been a space where we did a podcast on that too, just about like the differences between the different financing options, because I think education is the most important thing, right?
Yep.
Make sure people at least know what the options are, understand the contracts, and like you said, are doing the things that are going to be right for the customer at the end of the day.
Yep.
I want to touch a little bit on the agent relationship, and we're going to touch a little bit on some of you more personal side for people who don't know you as well. But in your experience, Jason, are there any, I guess you would say, distinctions you've noticed between working with agents where it's been really smooth and things have gone really well, whether they're top producers or really any level, I guess, as an agent, compared to maybe a situation where you've had some serious hiccups in working with an agent specifically on your roof projects? Is there anything that comes to mind that you think has been kind of like maybe you can call them red flags, but what makes that difference, I guess you would say, between relationships and situations that have gone really well versus times where it feels like this is not, there's some sort of issue here. There's a breakdown in the process.
Yeah, I think communication between the roofer, the homeowner, and the agent, a lot of times they won't let us communicate with a homeowner, or don't want us to communicate with a homeowner because I for whatever reason. And a lot of times those are kind of red flags, because if you can't set expectations with the homeowner, then something's always going to fall through the cracks. And
so you would prefer, obviously, to have that ability, have that freedom to talk directly to the homeowner and make sure that you have the right expectations.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
and
the
just let
thing.
the agent facilitate that connection.
Yeah. Most agents, for the most part, are great. We'll have, I'm trying to think of a bad scenario. We did have one scenario. Well, this is kind of, and again, it's not anything that's going to do any harm to a long-term relationship, but kind of that explaining to the customer, being able to explain to the customer, doing a pay at closing. And we have 90 days to lien a house. So it had 2 closings fall through, and we're on day like 80 at the time, or 85. And we still haven't got paid. So we just let the homeowner know, or let the agent know, like we have to put a lien on the house. No big deal. Put a lien on the house. When it closes, we sign a lien release and we get paid. And it's like, he's like, I don't see anything in this contract about why, you guys putting a lien on the house. And we do. We've got lien stuff, a whole page on liens. It doesn't say we're going to do it at said date, but also we were told this house was going to be closed in 30 days.
Yeah.
It's just protecting us. Like, hey, and he got upset about it. Well, if that house doesn't close for whatever reason, and that homeowner decides to take that house off the market,
right,
and that 90 days is passed,
then what?
Then now we have to sue the homeowner personally, and it's just a whole process. So that's one of those situations where, had they just explained to their client, or let us explain to the client, this is why we have to do it. It's not a big deal.
Yep.
As soon as your house closes, we'll take it off. But
no, I think that makes sense. I think the biggest key, as you said, is just having that open line of communication. And so if you're with an agent and the agent is working with you guys in some capacity to try to serve their client, they almost have to view you as part of that service package, and it's like you're just as important in that process as that agent to the client relationship is. That's how I feel about it anyway. And so if I'm an agent, I want to have that mentality that it actually is easier to let the expert step in and address a specific situation than for me to try to regurgitate something and maybe screw that up.
If I can have somebody else do my job for me, and one less thing I have to do, and then, not field phone calls and do the pass through. Anything that I can do that on, I'm going to do it on, so again, it's not a large sect of the real estate or the realtor population, but those are the issues, or those are the times where we have had, I think, a breakdown. Is
there a common complaint or anything you hear about from agents that you feel like, should always be addressed, or that you feel like you've had to address over time?
I feel like the relationships I've built with my agents have been wonderful. Yep. I feel like they vet their clients, and they're not working with people that you wouldn't want to work with. And I know when they come to me that they're going to be a solid client. That person has already set an expectation of what to expect from us. They know that if the realtor is referring us, we're going to do a good job for them. So honestly, we've been very fortunate with 99% of our realtor interactions.
Very cool.
Over the years.
What are your favorite ways to connect with agents?
Your guys' events are always a great one that we don't do enough of. Sorry, realtors.
We have more for you anytime you want.
So those are great. Honestly,
or just what's worked well for you. I know you guys have done a great job of developing your relationships over the years.
Now it's kind of just been word of mouth because I've been out of the sales portion for so long.
Yep.
And I probably sell 4 to 5 roofs a month myself, and that's just from realtors.
Yep.
So it's just, hey, Jason, I got your number from so-and-so. So over time, it's just taking good care of the realtors that you do get, and you never know when they're going to need something or when their clients are going to need something. Yeah. So that's always been my number one thing.
Yeah. And the reason why I think we in some ways do what we do is because the top 500 producers generally are doing the most volume of deals, right? And so if you're an agent who's doing high volume, you're more likely to come across the need for roofing situations, I think, on a regular basis. And even, I guess, if you're focused on less volume, but you're doing big luxury projects and stuff, I know you guys also do the luxury roofs if need be. And so it makes sense where the agents that are actually producing the volume of the real estate transactions that are out there, having additional partners that are going to be able to step in when that need arises, makes it even that much more important, right? Yep. And so SCM is one of those partners on our website. You can check it out. And Jason, of course, will give his information in just a minute. Before we wrap up, though, let's just do a couple quick minutes for people to get to know you more, a little bit more personally, so that they can hear your story. I know we talked off camera about how you had your first child recently, about 6 months ago, I guess it was now.
6 weeks.
Oh, sorry, 6 weeks ago is what I meant to say, yes. So he's in the heat of it right now, as we were talking off camera about. So hopefully your wife is getting some sleep in the process. But what are some favorite things you guys love to do, man? What keeps you busy? What does the family love to do when you're not, climbing on roofs?
Traveling. That's our big thing. We like to travel anywhere and everywhere. We just applied for. We got all the paperwork filled out. We've got an appointment for passport tomorrow.
Nice.
So we're gonna be heading to Europe in October. So
with the baby, huh?
Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
And 2 dogs. So
a bunch of different countries.
We're gonna start in Sweden or Switzerland.
Okay.
I don't know. The wife has it mapped out.
Nice.
And we're gonna go over to Lake Como and come down to Florence and down to the Amalfi Coast and then finish
That's gonna be awesome.
The south of France.
You're renting a car and just driving through?
Trains as much as we can and then do a car at some point.
Nice. Have you guys been to any of those areas before, or is all first time stuff?
Italy, done all of Italy a couple times, and south of France, done a couple times, and love it there.
This will be an interesting experience with the 2 dogs and the little one. Totally different than some of the other European trips that you've taken, I would imagine.
1,000%.
I'll have to connect with you when you get back to see what your experience was like.
That's why we're trying to do it now, see how we get along with each other, make sure we don't kill each other.
Right.
Make sure the dogs are able to make it safe and make sure.
Baby hasn't flown yet.
He did. We went to New York at 3 weeks.
He did. Okay. All right. So right away.
Took him up to see.
He did okay in the flight. Slept.
He did great.
Yeah.
The wife was. She had all the things ready to go. The bottles. The pacifiers.
I remember when our little ones, we flew with them to California, and we actually brought their car seats on the plane. And that was a tip from a friend of ours that said they're comfortable, obviously, in their car seats. And then they slept the whole flight just because once we got the car seat in there, it was good to go. It was a pain, though, to lug them through the freaking airport. But once we got them on the plane, they were golden.
Quick funny story about that. So we go to New York, first time traveling with the baby, stroller, all that. We have no clue what we're doing. We get to the gate. They give us tags for the stroller and for the car seat. And drop everything off, get on the plane, no big deal. We get off, stroller's there, no car seat. I'm like, all right. And they're like, oh, it's coming. Don't worry, it's coming.
No.
I'm like, nobody's walking back and forth. I'm
what
like,
a nightmare.
I'm like, I don't think it's coming. And it's 9:30. We have to get to a rental car by 10 o'clock. Where nobody's done. They're like, well, we think it went to baggage claim. We're like, you think
it went there?
So if we go to baggage claim, it's not there. Then what do? We got to say we can't come back. Long story short, she goes to baggage claim. It is there. I go down by the time we get. So she's carrying 2 puppies and a
you guys
dog,
always travel with your dogs, huh?
Yeah, anywhere we can. Yeah. So she's got 2 puppies in the carrying the baby. I've got the stroller. I've got the diaper bag. I've got everything else. By the time we get the shuttle and get there, the rental car place was closed.
Ugh.
And then,
fun times. The joys of airport traveling.
Yeah, we had to go to another.
You just got to go private next time, man. That's all.
Yeah.
Get this business booming, and you'll be getting your own jet soon enough. Big SCM on the side.
Just got to hit the lotto. That's it.
It's all a tax write-off, buddy.
Yeah.
A couple rapid fire questions. Do you have a favorite book or author or seminar maybe that you've ever attended that you feel like has made a big impact on you personally or professionally?
I love the David Goggins books. I think he's great. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think his mindset is something that everybody wishes they could get into, but I mean, I think he is the top. There's nobody else.
Yeah, he's got some great content
to be able to do what he does. I believe it's Jesse Itzler, who's living with a seal.
Yeah.
Who was about David Goggins coming to live with him for a month. So that was pretty good. And then like Ed Milet.
I heard him speak live once, Jesse. He was on one of the events that we did for our solar company, actually. And his wife is the founder of Spanx, I think, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's, obviously very well versed in business.
Yeah,
and
he's built a successful private jet company, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but that's it. I don't do a ton of reading outside of Instagram.
Those are some good ones, though. Those are some good ones. Their stories are great. Like I said, I really enjoyed Jesse's story on the call that we had him on, and then we had him speak live in person one time too. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
2.5 Men. Probably watched it. I don't know.
Did you continue watching it when Charlie left?
No,
that was the end of it, right?
As soon as it's over, then we go
totally
back
different show at that point.
It is. It is. It's terrible. And lately, I've been into. Got back into golf recently, and so I've been big into YouTube golf and watching.
Nice.
Did
you watch Rory fall apart? The U.S. Open.
I want to say unfortunately because I really like DeChambeau now, and I've become a much bigger fan of his.
Yeah, he was really into the crowd. You can tell. You saw how he was having the crowd all touch the trophy at the end there for a few hours.
I think Liv has really made it a focal point for these guys to get on social media.
Yeah,
and have the fans, being endeared to them.
Yeah,
because when he was on the PGA, he was the villain. There was
it was an interesting story how he's flipped it. Yeah,
and now he's come out with his own YouTube channel, and he's really done an amazing job of doing a 180, how he interacts with the fans, just showing his personality. So I watched it all. I felt terrible for Rory. I wish he would have at least made that putt on 18. I would have liked to then seen Bryson win in a.
Yeah, I would have liked to see them go head to head. That would have been neat.
Yeah.
And that was a 2.5 foot putt. I mean, that was brutal. I mean, it had a break to it, but still, that was a brutal miss.
I forget who was talking about it. He's like, John Rahm. He's like, everybody's talking about how it was just a 2.5 foot putt, but it's probably, and it really was, outside of the pressure on you for that putt, to win the U.S. Open, the 10-year drought that he's been in, all the pressure he's been under. Personal, professional, and then those greens I think probably at that time were about a 14.
Yeah.
So if you
I would have missed it for sure. Not even a question.
John Rahm's like if you miss that putt, if you hit it firm enough to go left center and you're off at all, it's off the green.
Yeah.
So
it was just tough that he missed 2 within the last 5 holes that were all like 3 feet or less. I mean, you're a pro golfer, you're not supposed to miss those shots, right?
But for the year,
it is what it is, man. And it was heartbreaking to see. And he's reacted. I think he bailed out of the Travelers, since then, and he hasn't really spoken to the media much. So he's been dealing with it, I think, for sure.
Yeah. And that's kind of showing, which you'd say is weird, is immaturity. I mean, he's almost
he's a vet
40
now,
and he's been around forever. So you would definitely like to see him handle those things a little different.
He'll get another shot. It'll be interesting to see. America loves a comeback story, so
they do.
He'll get another shot one of these Sunday afternoons, and hopefully he'll be able to make it through the next time.
100%.
Yeah. My last question for you is this: so, at some point, when you're sitting back on that rocking chair, and this son that you have is older and has grandkids, and you're enjoying the family. What do you think, Jason, would be most important to you in terms of the legacy that you would want to leave? What would you want to be most remembered for?
I think just generosity, giving. We try to do a lot with charities. We try to help as many people as we can. We'll do free roof giveaways to veterans.
That's cool.
People that are in need.
Did you serve?
I did not.
Okay.
I appreciate everybody that did. I did not want to get shot at. So I was like, anybody, veterans, teacher, military, or police,
first responders.
Yep. We give discounts for all of those because we appreciate. They're all thankless jobs that people just don't get enough credit for. So that we tried to help out as much as we could in our community.
Yep.
And
is there a particular organization or cause that you guys are tied to or passionate about?
So Shay, this is outside of military, but he does. Now I just drew a blank.
Is it a marathon or something?
He's gonna kill me. No. I'll think of it. I'll think of it as soon as I'm trying to not think of it. Vet Paul.
Okay.
So they're big into reservations in Africa. So they,
cool.
I forget. I think they've got like 100,000 square mile reservation that they do, like rhinos and elephants and endangered animals. So they take the rhinos, they cut off the horns, so they're worthless to poachers. And then they still have people that have to protect a lot of them 24/7. So that's one. And then another one that, because I'm terrible with names. I asked my wife, I'm like, what's the...
Is this one that you guys support as a company?
Where Love Grows. Yes. So Vicky, and it's in Tampa, and what she does for underprivileged kids, she goes into schools and she helps them with cooking skills. So a lot of these kids, you know, they go home, their parents are either working or they don't have, you know, certain set of parents. So they'll cook certain meals. So everything is something you could easily replicate at home.
Sure.
So, and then she'll give those ingredients for the kids to be able to take home and make meals.
That's cool.
So that's a pretty awesome thing that she's done. And I forget how many meals she's served over the years, but it's
it's awesome.
It's awesome. And
we support. I've done some Tony Robbins events and stuff over the years, and he has like a Feeding America charity that he has a pretty powerful story about when he was a kid, how somebody came to his house when they were dirt poor and they had no Thanksgiving meal, and the door was knocking. He opens the door and it's like somebody from the church, like bringing them a turkey and bringing them a bunch of Thanksgiving food. And like his dad started crying and all this stuff. And so he built this organization on wanting to just provide meals, right, for people. So we help support that as well. But it's amazing how many people just can go without a good meal on a regular basis throughout, and we just don't even recognize it, throughout our society.
Granted.
We do. So he's done some great work with that. I think they've done like over 1 billion meals now or something like that. Awesome. It's a crazy number. But we do the Making a Difference section of our magazine every month. So we try to spotlight different nonprofits and causes through there. And thankfully, we've had some people who have read some of those articles and have even donated to some of those causes and done various things to get involved. So I appreciate you bringing a couple of those up. Definitely try to spotlight them when we can.
Awesome.
For sure. So we're going to put a bow on the episode. And the way, Jason, if anybody wants to follow up with you and pick your brain a little bit more just about, like, maybe it's an agent who has roofing needs or has clients that have this or that, what's the best way for someone to reach you?
The best way is my cell phone. It's 813-293-0732, or email is jason@scmroofingfl.com. Same their website. You can contact the office, 855 SCM Roof. And I'm always around. I've had the same cell phone since I was, same cell phone number, not same cell phone, since I was 16. So I don't plan on changing that ever. So you'll always be able to get a hold of me on that.
It's funny. I have the same thing, man. It's like, once you get that number down, it's hard to give it up. And my number, I'm from Connecticut, so I still have a 203 number, and then I have a bunch of other like forwarding 813 numbers, but can't get rid of that original 203, baby. Yeah, it's part of the DNA at this point.
I don't understand the people that every time you call them, they got a different number. And I'm like, man, what?
You don't want to be contacted.
You can transfer numbers without a problem nowadays. So
don't keep me guessing. Well, we're going to wrap up with a challenge to the audience the way we always do. And this is one of our conversations as part of our partner series. We can get to learn a little bit more about what our vendors specialize in. And obviously today's conversation with Jason was about roofing and some of the roofing needs out there and some of the ins and outs of the roofing industry. I hope you were able to grab a nugget from it. Maybe you're an agent out there who just needs to have a great roofing partner on your list. And so I know SCM, we vouch for them. They've been supporters of our platform for many years. And more importantly, they've done a lot of great work with agents, which is how we found out about them, right, on the local level. And so if you're somebody who just feels like I need to up my game with better vendors that are providing better levels of service, I would highly recommend you contact Jason and SCM and, pick his brain and let him help. So that might be your action step. Or maybe you just want to pick up one of the recommended books or something that Jason threw out there. But take some sort of action from the podcast today, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching, listening to any of your favorite podcast platforms, and do something to propel yourself forward personally and professionally. That would make the time you invested in this podcast that much worth it. You can also, of course, click the button to subscribe. That way you'll be notified every time we have a new episode. And we do drop a new episode every Friday. So go ahead and subscribe by clicking that button so we can notify you. And of course, you can follow us at TampaBayRealProducers.com, as well as being powered by Top Producers Nation. You can check out TopProducersNation.com if you're an agent who would like to be a part of a community that is built for top producers to share resources. There's courses involved in there. There's all kinds of different ways to help you grow your business as a top producer. So check that out as well. We will see you on the next episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers podcast. We'll see you later.